Hello, good evening. I guess it's evening here on the east coast of the U.S., and it is Saturday night or morning. um, Again, I apologize for taking so long to get these next few Ukrainikins out. I've had so many topics that keep coming up and then becoming untimely because the pace of the news is moving much faster than my very slow-paced YouTube channel. So thank you for bearing with me, and I especially appreciate Debbie and Mike for watching, in addition to everyone else, so thank you. So for the first thing I wanted to talk about tonight that I think is pretty topical, I tried this time to use a PowerPoint slide to keep me on track, to keep it factual and punctual, and make it short so that I don't talk about 5 things in one episode. So the first thing I want to talk about is all the excitement yesterday about Erdogan getting Putin and President Zelensky to agree to some kind of safe corridor to get all of the Ukrainian grain that's been sitting there for months now, ready to go, ready to feed the world, ready to stop famines, to actually allow it to leave the port city of Odessa. And, yesterday, I know that we heard from the Secretary General of the UN that this was a glorious day for, the prospect of peace, and what a hopeful day it was. And President Erdogan thought this could be, the start of the end of the war. And I think that there were a lot more people who thought a lot more skeptically about this. I will say, not even I thought that Tsar Putin was going to come up with something this egregious, but he never ceases to amaze. Less than 24 hours after this deal was allegedly inked, and it was hailed as this major breakthrough, basically, let me see what Putin decides to, or the generals of whatever his army decide to launch 4 missiles at the port city of Odessa, where all of the grain was being readied to place onto these cargo ships in order to get it to all of the parts of the world that are indeed facing a famine. So in less than 24 hours, Russia launched not 1 but 4 missiles at Odessa, breaking all of its promises and commitments before the UN and before Turkey under the Istanbul Agreement. In the case of non-fulfillment, Russia will bear full responsibility for the global food crisis. They didn't set any of the grain on fire with the shellings. So this whole crazy notion that their shells just go wherever they want them to seems a little bit maybe out of place. It seems like they very much can control them, and this time they decided to plop a few just to remind all of us that even if Odessa is open and trying to feed those who are starving with Ukrainian grain, Putin can still strike Odessa, and he can still steal grain. He's been stealing it to feed his own people. He's been stealing it to bribe or pay North Korea, which I'll get to in a different episode. He's given it away to Syria. Basically, anyone he can get to join his really dilapidated, I don't know, they're not an axis, they're not allies, I don't even know what you call them. What was it that Hillary called Trump's supporters? The basket of deplorables. I mean, they're worse. I don't even know what you want to call this group. But our own ambassador to Ukraine, Bridget Brink, tweeted, Russia strikes the port city of Odessa less than 24 hours after signing an agreement to allow shipments of agricultural exports. The Kremlin continues to weaponize food. Russia must be held to account. Yes, they must. They must. So I don't quite know what that's going to look like, but here we are. Some more pain introduced by him breaking all kinds of promises. Our poor UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres had to take back yesterday's comments about everyone agreeing about how the concerns about a global famine were just more important than this conflict. Putin, like his hero Stalin, really doesn't give a shit about starving children. It's very sad. It's very clear that this is one example of where I know we can say with some degree of callousness, he doesn't care about his own troops, his 17, 18, 19-year-old boys that he's sending off to be slaughtered. He doesn't care about Ukrainian troops who are about the same age and just getting a lot better training and they're also getting slaughtered. Doesn't care about Ukrainian children, that's for sure. But now we can add that he doesn't care about children all over the world who are going to starve. So thank you very much, Herr Putin. So, and with that, I just want to point out this wasn't like a small attack. It could have been much worse. Apparently, there were 4 cruise missiles pointed at Odessa. And to quote Estonia's Prime Minister, Kaja Kallas, on Twitter, she said, "That's all you need to know about deals with Russia." We then heard from the spokesman for the Odessa Regional Military Administration, who explained that there were 4 rockets and that thanks to the air defense forces, the Ukrainian forces were able to destroy 2 of the missiles before they could actually do any damage to the infrastructure of the facility. Turkish Defense Minister Hulusi Akar said on Saturday that Russia claimed, this is my favorite, Russia claimed it had nothing to do with these strikes. And then said, the Russians told us in certain terms that they have had nothing to do with this attack. They monitor the situation very closely and in detail. I, for one, am on the edge of my seat to find out the results of that investigation. I bet you are too. So again, I know yesterday there was a whole bunch of optimism in the world about kind of diplomacy being a possible, there being a pathway for diplomacy. And I think today we see, to quote young Putin, some people only understand force. And I think he's one of them. And I like all of these analogies about Putin being a rat in a corner and how dangerous the rat in the corner is. I, for one, I'm not terribly afraid of a rat in a corner, especially because I've got a cat. And to me, if you have a scared rat who's going to jump on your face and bite your face, the better thing to do is to get some rat poison or a big broom or a cat and let the cat have a party with the rat's body, and don't let him jump on your face. Don't let him jump out at you, because that's the worst thing he can do. That's all he can do. I am tired of trying to build the golden bridge for this man, for him to escape with some kind of sense of having accomplished something here. He has accomplished nothing. He's killing his own people. He's killing more Chechen people, fighting against Ukrainian people now. He's killing young Russian boys. He's killing everyone in Ukraine, old, young, doesn't matter, men, women, children, indiscriminately killing them all. I have a show coming up on the legal and the kind of political definitions of genocide, and which I believe that either way this falls into that category. So I look forward to having that discussion. I also plan on having a voice from Texas, i.e. my husband, join the show hopefully tomorrow, just so that you can get the view of someone who's maybe not so wrapped up in feeling like that this is the Fourth Reich and that Ukraine has to absolutely succeed. My husband does come at this from a different point of view, which I think is valid and worth listening to, especially on this YouTube channel called Ukrainican. So with that, I am going to end this episode, shockingly, in a short number of minutes, and then I will be right back with episode 9 on North Korea. Thank you everyone for joining tonight. Thank you to everyone in Ukraine who is fighting for freedom and democracy all over the world. Slava Ukraini.